I wanted to make a follow-up video to my how and when to change your bicycle chain. And in this one, what I'm going to do is answer a few questions or comments that people put below that video that I thought were good questions. So I thought this would make a really good video of just doing kind of a little bit of Q&A. So the first one that I want to answer, someone says, so if you've stretched your chain too far and put the old chain back on, wouldn't you just want to continue to ride it and run the entire drivetrain down to the ground and then replace the entire drivetrain if you don't care about stretching the drivetrain? It goes on a little bit longer. But that's a good question, and one that I've actually thought about, but there's two reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. One is, how do you get your drivetrain worn down, and how do you know it's time to change it? Usually you break your chain, and breaking your chain sucks for several reasons. One, it's just inconvenient. That's the simplest thing that could happen. Two, it could result in a crash, or you can bang your knee on a stem. Been there, done that. Not fun. That's a hard hit. And then if you're a racer, breaking a chain in a race really sucks. I remember years and years ago, back when I first started mountain bike racing, this was like 20 years ago, I was in the beginner class, but I remember watching the expert race, like the main event. And it was, you know, the announcer was hyping it up and the music was going and the pack started, the race started. And you know, you see everybody going down, and then you see this guy just get spit out the back, and he had broken a chain. So the dude probably, like, you know, traveled from out of town, got a hotel room, you know, pre-rode the course before, paid his 40 bucks, you know, had his racing license, probably did a bunch of training for the race, and then he raced for 5 seconds before his chain broke. So that's the downside of just wearing the whole drivetrain down into the ground. That, you know, eventually you're just going to break your chain because it stretches out so much. The other reason why you probably wouldn't want to do that, have you looked at the price of cassettes lately? It's ridiculous. Some of the SRAM 12-speed cassettes are like 400 bucks. So that's an expensive replacement. You know, if you wear your drivetrain down that far, you're replacing the front chain rings, the cassette, and the chain. So it just gets a little expensive. Not quite as bad today with new mountain bikes because you're only running one front chain ring. So, you know, way back when, you had to replace all 3 chain rings and the cassette. So if you're running a cheaper drivetrain, you know, you could wait a while, and then I just wouldn't recommend going too long because, again, you don't want to break your chain. That's the answer to that question. So I thought that was a really good question. The other question I thought was really good. This guy asks, does riding style and the type affect the rate of chain stretching over time? I.e., if you tend to do a lot of hard, steep hill climbs, would you expect faster chain stretch? What about more rocky, technical? And question goes on. Another good question. Yes, your riding style will definitely depend on how fast your drivetrain wears down and how fast your chain stretches. And not just riding style, but also the terrain and the conditions you ride in. So it's really based on watts, so the power that you put to the pedals. So mountain bike chains will wear out and stretch faster for 2 reasons. One is you're getting more sediment and stuff in the chain, and wearing down the drivetrain, that can cause the chain to wear faster. But really because of the power. So on a road, it's more of a consistent power usually, unless you're racing crits or something like that. But in mountain biking, you are doing some hard efforts up some, maybe powering up some steep climbs. You may be putting out 800, 1,000 watts. Cyclocross, same thing. I have a power meter on my cross bike, and my power chart after a race is all over. I mean, it's 1,000 watts, it's 50 watts, it's 800 watts. But those hard efforts where you're just pushing hard is going to wear and stretch your chain faster than if you're just doing a consistent, you know, 150, 200 watts on the road. Gravel riding, like tonight, I just got back from a group gravel ride that turned into a hammer fest, and there were guys attacking. So when someone puts in an attack and you bridge up or you attack, I mean, you're up to 1,000 watts. That style of riding, of just bridging up and putting in attacks, is going to stretch your chain faster than someone, again, who's just putting in a nice steady, time trial effort or whatever. One more question that I want to answer. I'm not going to read it, but someone asked about taking off that coating on your chain. Why not do it before you put it on the bike? I did answer that comment, but I want to just put it on this video. 2 reasons I like taking that coating off after the chain's on the bike. One is if you have indeed stretched your drivetrain and you want to put the old chain back on, you want to keep that coating on while you have the chain sitting around until you get a new cassette. The other reason is simply it's just so easy to put a rag over the chain as you spin the pedals and just get that coating off, rather than trying to get it off like by soaking it in solvent. So anyway, just a quick Q&A about chains. Hopefully it was helpful. Thanks for watching.